Hope?
Oh, I got stories.
Good. I like stories, and so do my friends in the chat room and those who are listening. So we'll have some fun with that tonight. Jill Shelley, our guest. She is the owner of the Boyd House in Boyd, Minnesota. And we're going to enjoy this. We are really going to enjoy this tonight. So you guys sit on back as we got about 45 seconds. Hey, Randy Spurl, thanks for joining us. And yeah, I think we're all set up here. I can do that first. Let's all set that up. All right, we have 30 seconds till we launch. Hi, Ronnie. How are you? Send that out. And we got 15 seconds. Hey, Mike L., good to see you. Gorgeous Marie, thanks for coming on in. Here we go, everyone. 5 seconds. Let's have a great show tonight. I hope you all enjoy. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You'll find them on our website. You know, sometimes I don't think we talk a lot about paranormal around here, probably to the detriment of what we do, because everybody likes a good ghost story. So let me introduce you to our guest tonight, Jill Shelley. She's a paranormal investigator who has traveled across the United States seeking answers and decided to buy her own haunted house. Who does this? Who says, oh, I'm going to buy my own haunted house? Well, Jill does, apparently. The Boyd House is located in Minnesota. You see, Jill, in the meantime, works as a surgical technician. She enjoys music, horror films, video production, spending time with her grandkids. And her favorite piece of equipment to use while on investigation? She loves hearing the ghosts speak through the spirit box. We're going to learn all about her and the Boyd House coming on up. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Jill Shelley, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
Have you always been a ghost hunter, or was this something that you just decided to get into because, you know, it's nice and fun to deal with the weird and strange?
Well, I was always kind of a weird and strange kid, just always really fascinated by ghosts and the paranormal since a really young age, since I can really remember, and hanging out with my cousins and listening to stories in the dark, and just always fascinated with it. And actually what kind of got me into it, ironically, was my grandmother. She had a room up in her house that none of us kids ever liked. It was always cold. It was kind of felt like somebody was staring at you, like they didn't want you in there. We didn't play in there. We didn't like it. And one particular night, the parents were sleeping upstairs in the one bedroom, and I could hear them snoring when I woke up, and I was the only one in my room that I was sleeping in. And I heard these footsteps coming out of that, we called it the north room because that's the way it faced, hearing the footsteps coming out of that room. And my back was to the door, and I don't know how old I was, but I was young, maybe 8 and 10 years old. So at this point, I'm completely freaking out. Like, I do not want to turn my back to look and see what this thing is, because it felt like somebody was intently staring at me, almost like through me. It was so intense. So I kind of just laid there like, oh my God. And then eventually heard the footsteps, turn around and walk back in the room. And then of course, then I threw the blankets over my head and got myself finally back to sleep. And the next day, I asked my parents, even though I knew they didn't get up, they said no, they hadn't gotten up all night. My grandmother actually sleeps downstairs. And she just kind of said, oh gosh, honey, that's just a ghost and he's not going to hurt you. And I kind of thought to myself, wow, here's my very religious grandmother just kind of like blowing this off like no big deal, So I thought, well, now I really need to know everything I need to find out about ghosts. I need to learn it. So I guess in a way she kind of pushed me towards that. And then, I just kind of started reading books and watching, movies and things. And up until you came out with like a lot of the ghost hunting TV type shows, I didn't know that, oh my gosh, I could really do this. I could actually go out and try to communicate with these ghosts. And it was about 2010 when I met a great group of people, and we formed our group St. Croix Paranormal and kind of started our journey onto where we are today.
When you go through that experience at a young age, how does that change your look at reality?
I don't know if it so much changes. It's more that you just kind of get that thirst for knowledge. Like you want to know a little bit more. I guess I never really compared it to certain things, but I don't know. I guess you just kind of want to know more and expand your knowledge and start to gain that experience and want to go and get those experiences.
When you started looking into this, excuse me, as I hiccup there, on a level that you want to kind of know what was going on, what answers did you want to find out about these ghosts that were kind of hanging around?
Well, at first it was more for me, I was afraid of dying. Like I didn't want death to be the end. I couldn't handle that. It bothered me. I had to know that there actually was another side. And so I kind of had to prove that to myself that there was another side, just by doing some basic communications and things. And now I've kind of ventured in more towards okay, I've proven to myself there's another side, so now let's learn more about the other side. So that's kind of where some of my research is going.
Well, let's take a look at the other side. What did you learn about that?
Well, to me, it's definitely there. And I know a lot of other people have gotten the evidence. So everything that, like, a lot of the different groups are part of what the paranormal community is, we all kind of are after the same goal, is different answers and things. So I think a lot of us have proven that, you can communicate with them. Now, why they're here, again, I think a lot is theory. Some say it's, they didn't know that they died. Sometimes they're here because they're tragic. And if they have unfinished business, maybe they're afraid to move. Do we really know why? I don't think we do. There's just a lot of theories, on that. But, even when you ask the spirits, you might get one answer versus another answer. So that's kind of how we put everything together.
Jill, when you started in the paranormal, what was it like trying to get into the field at that time? Because most people today look at the paranormal as something very popular, something that, you could go have a good time with. I think there's a lot of weekend warriors, more so than actual investigators trying to solve some of these lifetime mysteries. when you started, what was the field like?
It was a lot different. There wasn't quite as many of us around. The technology has come a long way from even just the brief 10 years that I've been, and even just doing research farther back to some of the historical people like the Warrens, Lorraine, and just how technology has evolved. And I feel it's more open now, to people didn't like to talk about the fact that they had a ghost. Like, you were considered completely nuts and crazy if you were like, hey, I think I have a ghost in my house. And that's we would hear that from our clients. So that would be the first thing when they call us to come investigate their private home was, I think I'm crazy. And now when you bring it up, everyone's got a story for you. They're all excited. They're open to talk about it. So I think a lot of that has changed, but for the good. Everything, I think, has come for the good.
Okay, so the way I like how you mentioned that the biggest change has been in the people. People are now excited to find out that their house is haunted. Are people just not scared of ghosts anymore?
I haven't found that they're not as afraid. I think it gives them a little bit mental health relief knowing that they're not crazy. And I think then they can come to some sort of resolution and rationalize what the experiences that they were having. Like, okay, I'm not crazy now, or sometimes we've actually gone to houses and it's not paranormal. It's something with the house that's causing a problem. And so, again, there's a little bit of relief as well. But we try to teach because we don't remove, some people can get rid of spirits, and we don't have the training or knowledge to do that. We kind of like to teach our clients how to coexist with spirits, and we've had pretty good results with that.
How many ghosts have you seen?
Physically seen, I've only seen one, like a shadow type figure. We're actually at a bar in downtown Stillwater, well known for its hauntings for many, many years. It was Stillwater's like an old lumberjack town, so there was a lot of deaths and a lot of things that went on. So pretty much most buildings in downtown Stillwater are haunted. And this particular one, they knew there was like a female prostitute that was thrown out of the window, and she fell to her death. And so she's one that we know of. And so we went there, and we were we were having a lot of stuff go on, overnight. We actually heard a woman's voice audibly. We would smell like perfume. We heard footsteps. But the big major thing is Krista and I were upstairs, so it's up on the second floor, not down on lower level. It's also running about 2 or 3 in the morning, so there really was not a lot of people out at that particular time. And we we're just standing there talking, getting ready to run a spirit box. And it's about 90 degrees outside. Now, granted, they have air conditioning on, but it's kind of warm. It's still a little humid. We're upstairs. And all of a sudden, I was getting goosebumps. I was getting cold, really, really ice cold, like a different kind of chill that you would have felt. And then we both kind of looked, and in front of the window, this black shadow. It's almost, you don't want to say Grim Reaper, but the only way I could describe it is if you were looking at a black robed type figure, but it was all solid. But it moved really fast, but almost like in a strobe-like motion. It was just the weirdest thing. And it just kind of went across the 3 windows and disappeared, and we both just kind of looked at each other and were like, did you just see what I saw? And she's like, yeah. And what was really awesome about that is we actually caught that on film. So that kind of was able to back and validate what we had seen. And even now, too, I can stop the film and look at it and take a snapshot. And you could see almost a solid mass that was crossing in front of that window. So that was like, as far as like, I've never actually seen like a full blown apparition to where you would be like looking at you or I. So that would be what the closest I have come for something like that.
At what point did you figure out that ghosts weren't scary?
Well, they can always be scary because they can spook you. I guess I haven't had a lot of dealings with the negative type energies. I mean, we have been in some places, where we've had some negative stuff. I guess probably the scariest thing that happened is we were at a place called Whispers Estate, and that house is known for a lot of negativity. And just to kind of paint a little background, it's a doctor who had the house who did a lot of unethical things with his female patients. They buried a lot of body parts in the backyard. His daughter actually was caught in a fire, and so he mercy killed her with an overdose of morphine like 2 days later. And they had like another child fall down the stairs and die. And then one of the main guys who died, his name is Virgil, on the day of his retirement, he died in front of this one particular closet. He was putting his tools away, and he dropped dead of a heart attack. And the people who live there don't even like going up there. If that closet door's open, they're like, they won't even go up there at all. People have been locked in this closet where it kind of, the door lock like goes up, slides over, and then slides back down. It's one of those kind of locks, so they can't even figure out people are getting locked in. So we went up there, and of course I have to go sit in the closet, and it's a big walk-in type closet that they had like a table in there and a chair. So Teresa and I go in there, and she's sitting in the chair, and I'm standing way in the back, and something just like a male's voice in my head said, "Get out of this closet." So I stepped out, but I don't like being in closets anyway because I always fear that they're going to shut the door and lock me in. So I don't like to do that anyway. So I just thought to myself, it's just your paranoia. That's why you heard that voice. But I didn't say anything to Teresa, so she remained in the closet. And the spirit box then said, "Shut this door." And of course, we didn't heed to that either. And so all of a sudden, Teresa and this chair come launching out of this closet. So she's thrown about 4 feet out of the closet. And we tried to debunk that, like, "Oh, did you fall out of the chair?" But if she had fallen out of the chair, if it had tipped over, she would have fell straight forward. She wouldn't have been thrown about 4 feet into the hallway. And I think at that point I realized that these things, they can hurt you if they want to. They can physically touch you. So that was probably like my first real eye-opener, that something can go wrong.
For a lot of people who live in a haunted house and have these paranormal experiences, one of the biggest complaints that I have heard from a number of guests who've gone through this but aren't involved in the paranormal field is they've gone online to try and find the closest ghost team or two to come in and investigate. And they've actually been, put in a real lurch. Their house became more haunted. The ghost became more aggressive and attacking. How serious of a problem is this in the paranormal field?
Well, for me, I think I've actually had the opposite effect. Like I said, I've had a lot of people when we determine that they do have a haunting and how to coexist, things seem to ease up for them. I think sometimes, though, as I have told my clients, just because we were here tonight, we may have amped some things up, have made it, I wouldn't say you open a portal or anything, but you've made it so that now it's okay to communicate. And then sometimes we're just trying to get more of a message. And, and I don't know all the situations where people have had things amp up or things have gotten worse. It depends. It could be your team, too. Are they, like you were saying, your amateur people just getting started, or are they a reputable paranormal group that's, so are the amateurs doing more harm than good? That could be a possibility. So there's a lot of factors involved in why something would actually start becoming more and more aggressive or, made worse. So, and it also could be the situation in the house. So there's a lot of different answers that could be tied to that question.
Very true. But, for people who are going through this and they may not know where to turn, Jill, what's your advice to give people going through these hauntings for the first time?
Well, if you're going to have a team out or a paranormal group out, just do some research and make sure that they're reputable and that they've been around. That would be like your first start. And then those teams should be able to also have resources to help you. Say it comes to, like I said, like our team doesn't remove spirits, but we have resources that we can refer that client to. So just making sure that their database is out there so that they have the resources to help you.
Yeah, no kidding. When you say resources, what do you mean by resources?
Oh, just like different people who are more experienced. Say you go to a place and you feel that it could be a demonic situation. Well, most people are not trained in demonic. That's a whole nother level. That's why we have people who are into that. So you could refer them to that, like, hey, I don't know anything about demons, but I think this is your problem, so here's somebody who can help you. And then, I think that's good too, because you're not taking on more and like you said, making the problem worse.
That is true. Now, for a lot of people who may not understand about making the problem worse, I know what that means. A lot of other people know what that means if they're familiar with the paranormal, but there's still a number out there who may not know how to react and could be reacting adversely with the spirits in their house. So how do we work on that?
Well, I guess a lot of education, we need to let people know that this is not like Hollywood. It's not a fun game, especially when you're dealing with private homes. This is somebody's life, and they have to live with it after you leave the house. So you just need to be really respectful, I think, and we just got to make sure that's what you see in your paranormal team as well.
Very true. Jill Shelley is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We have about 90 seconds before we have to go to break. People who live in a haunted house, or let's say they've never had this experience and they buy their dream house, it's a newer home. It really doesn't matter if it's a newer home or an older home. Any house can be haunted.
Yes, that's true, because a lot of it can be with the land. So people just think, well, I got a new house, so there can't be any ghosts in here. And then you might do some research and find out that, there was a Native American war on your land and a bunch of people died. So that can happen a lot too.
Mm-hmm. So how do you know if it's not the house or if it's the land? How do you tell the difference?
Well, you do a lot of research too. So if the house was built, way back in the day, that's a little bit easier to track through the deeds. If you're dealing with a newer house, you do check to make sure there was no deaths in the house, like maybe somebody had killed themselves or passed away in the home. If you're not finding any of that kind of information, now you got to start digging into the land. What was here before? What was this used for? And that can kind of give you some clues and hints as to where to lead you, and also through your investigation techniques, you should be able to maybe pick up some hints on who it is and that kind of thing.
Jill, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Jill Shelley is our guest tonight. St. Croix Paranormal is her team, and she also decided to buy a haunted house. Who does that? Apparently Jill does. We'll find out why when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. That was a fun first half hour.
Yeah, that went by fast.
Yeah. Is there any way that I could get you to turn your volume up on your phone or headset? Because you are a tad quiet.
Okay, I can just maybe put it a little closer. That might help.
Yeah, that's a little better. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
No problem. No problem. Now that we got the first half hour out, now we can relax, chill out, and try and figure out why a good human being like yourself goes and buys a haunted house. So, that's coming up next.
Yep.
All right, give me 2 seconds here. Oh, what'd you crack open?
Well,
I heard that can open. You can't get that past me. Hold on. That didn't sound like it's anything watery. Is that a Coors Light?
how did you know that?
I had a feeling. You were a Coors Lighter. And I ran with it.
Yeah, no, you picked that up.
Mm-hmm. I knew it. I knew it. Just do me a
Plus,
favor.
it is 11:30.
Well,
11:30 at night.
do me a favor. At least have a sip for me. Damn it. At least have a sip for me.
Okay, I will do that.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
Nothing like an ice cold one.
Oh, yeah. I got to go refresh. I've been craving a beer lately, and I don't usually crave beer.
Yeah, that's all I drink. I'm not a hard liquor person.
I've been known to have a couple of fireballs. I saved tequila for Las Vegas. And I've had beer in my fridge for about 3 months that I haven't touched yet.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. That's how much I drink.
Hopefully it won't go bad on you.
Well, we'll figure it on out very soon. Mm-hmm. We have about 2 minutes here, my friend. 2 minutes.
Okay.
$90 seconds.
It's always the longest 90 seconds.
Right?
Like when I'm at the time clock, I'm like, this is the longest minute ever.
I know. It's actually amazing how long a minute is. It really is.
I know. And then other times it's like, oh my gosh, it's been a half hour.
All right. We got less than a minute here. Big thank you to everybody who has given us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button tonight. Really do appreciate it. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. But Super Chat is open if you want to support us that way. You can also do a little shopping at facebook.com/the SOR Vault to grab yourself some great swag. And we got some good stuff there. Good stuff. And some new stuff coming very, very soon as well again. And we'll be ready to go here in about 15 seconds. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate each and every one of you tuning us on in. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our guest tonight is paranormal investigator Jill Shelley, and she decided to get into the real estate market and buy herself a haunted house. Jill, welcome back.
Hello.
I got to ask you, who does that and why?
Somebody crazy like me. I think it was with our investigating and traveling to well-known haunted locations kind of gave me the idea of, oh my gosh, this would be super fun to do this myself. And then I'd have my own place to research at anytime I wanted to. And that's kind of what sparked me to purchase the location.
Okay, so tell us about the Boyd House. How did you first find out about it?
Well, about 2 years ago, I financially was able to fulfill my dream of running my own haunted location. So you really can't find a place that's like, hey, my house is for sale and there's ghosts in it. There's really no place for you to do that. So I would kind of just do my criteria on the MLS listings, age, price range. I didn't care where it was. And I came across the Boyd House and was really immediately drawn to it. I would keep looking at the pictures. There was a really old crystal chandelier that I just fell in love with in the pictures. It's kind of like when you find something and you know that this is the one. That was the feeling I had with this particular house. And so when we were doing our purchasing our houses, my realtor knew what I wanted to do. So we were kind of doing mini investigations when we go look at locations, and we just had some really great stuff happen just when we got there. So that was pretty cool. Just sitting outside waiting for the realtor to arrive, my teammate Donna and I had gone down to look at the house, and we were just kind of sitting outside the front, and all of a sudden I had this eerie feeling that something was watching us from the attic, and I mentioned it to her, and she's like, yeah, I know, I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, I totally feel like something's staring at us in the attic. And then when we kind of walked in there, it was, I don't know, something felt off, like it was watching you from afar, but yet the house kind of had a welcoming kind of feel. It's kind of a different way to describe it. And so just kind of walking around, I felt really comfortable in the house. And I even remember saying to Donna, I'm like, oh my God, I just love this house. And we had put a piece of equipment, it's called a REM pod. And so what that does is if a spirit or energy breaks this barrier, and it's a small barrier, this piece of equipment will go off and let you know that there's something there. And within 8 minutes, we had put that up in one room, and that started going off when I was actually in there. And then we also ran the spirit box and got some responses. One was like a woman said, "Who are you?" Because this was probably, she didn't know who I am. You know, I'm trying to communicate with her. We had a couple names. I got that. And then so I thought, well, let me check with a friend of mine that's a medium. So I checked with her, and she said that there were 6 spirits in the house, a couple of kids, 2 women, and a man. And now that we've had the house, we're learning that, yeah, we do have these types of spirits in home. And she also said that there's a man in the back who likes to garden, and he comes in through the back door. And we've learned that one of the old owners who died there, his name is Fred. We believe he's still there. We did find out he actually was a big gardener guy. So that kind of got verified with that. And then, excuse me, I'm just having a little bit of dry spell here. And then she also said the very first night that you stay in the house, which was odd because I hadn't put an offer in on the house or anything, she had said that you will hear him come through the back door on your first night that you spend there. And then I also thought, well, I'm going to check with the owners, because they lived in the house for like 30 years. They surely must have had some experiences. And they didn't want to talk about it. They said they did have some stuff happen, and they blew a lot of it off. She would hear like old time music playing, and a couple times the kids had seen like a man sitting in a chair, and they just kind of had some odd experiences, but didn't really interact or talk about those things. And I do know I've talked with some people now that have maybe like spent the night at the house when they were growing up, or as they were an adult, and they had experiences of like where they were touched. Like one guy was sleeping on the couch because he was over there doing housework, helping them, and he woke up and something like tapped him on the shoulder. It woke him up. So he had that experience. So they had some stuff going on. And so with that, I went forth and purchased the house and started to learn a lot more about it.
Sounded right up your alley, like it was meant to be.
Oh yeah, totally. I love that house so much, and all the spirits that are in it.
So how many spirits in total do you have in the Boyd house?
That I know of that we probably have. So we have Fred, and he was a big time guy. He moved. He's the one I have most of the history on. So he moved into the house in 1912. House was built in 1901. And Fred was a very well-known businessman in town. He had his own store, and they sold like fancy goods, dry goods, men's clothing, small food supplies. And so we know him for sure is at the house. We also have 2 women that we get voices on. I've yet to determine who they are. I feel like one could be Minnie, which is Fred's wife. They actually both passed away in the home, and as well as 2 of their children passed away in the home as well. So we do have childlike activity. I'm not sure. I don't know if the kids that we have there are actually the ones that have passed away, because I think our children that we have in our home are a lot older, maybe like between 8 and 10 years old, where when their child died, they were 2 and an infant. But people hear a lot of kids' laughter and just a lot of kids playing around with toys, different things like that. And then, so we have a woman, she's got a really, really raspy voice, and we don't know her name either, but I get her on different voice recordings several times. And Yeah, so those are the ones I've confirmed for sure, but we do know that we've had like 5 actual deaths in the house because we had another woman named Anna back in the 70s, and she passed away in the house as well. But this natural causes, there were no, history of murders or anything. Everything's been, other than the one child who choked to death, there hasn't been anything that has been super tragic. But we are located, I think, some of the energy, because our deed goes back to 1884, and the land at that time was owned by the Minneapolis and St. Louis Railroad. The tracks actually run right behind the property, so that gives a lot of energy that comes along with that. And so I think some of our activity at the house could just be, as we call some of the spirits, passerbyers. Just because of what we do, we're creating energy in the house, so they may just kind of swing by and say hello, as you might say. And also the town back in the day was right on the Sioux Dakota reservation line. So we see pictures of the town back in the 1900s, and it looks like a completely Wild West town. They had the horses and the cowboys, and they had all kinds of stores. They had bars and a saloon, different grocery stores. They had a hotel, and now it's just a really, really small town, like 170 people, and we have like just a handful of businesses left in town today. So there's a lot of changes, but a lot of energy as well, because our house is just pretty much, I want to say, a hop, skip, and a jump from town. So back in the day, it was pretty much the first house on the edge of town, and there used to be a blacksmith shop right across the street. The hotel was kind of kitty corner. So there's probably a lot of action that we're seeing in the streets. I can imagine there could have been shootouts, and who knows? They didn't keep very good records back in the day when people died like that. So there could be all kinds of stuff going on that we don't know about.
Makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, was there, and I'm always curious because some of the old houses around here where I live that are in that 100-year-old range or whatever, we have at our local museum here actually caught a ghost cat. Do you have any ghost animals running around?
Well, funny you should mention that, because I personally have not had experience with that. But I had a couple people say that they thought there was a cat in the house. And just recently, we had some people over there that were mediums. And she said that she saw a white cat in the house several times. So it's kind of ironic that 6 months ago I read in my journal, because we have a journal at the house so people can write their experiences. Like 6 months ago, somebody mentioned a ghost cat, and then here now this medium's like, hey, I see a white cat. And she's, relaying that, which so, I'm sure there is. I'm actually going to check with the old owners just to see if they had a white cat, just to correlate that, to make sure that's right.
Okay, because I know the ghost cat in our museum here, it will literally rub up on you. If you're sitting on one of the couches, it will jump up on your lap, and many people have felt that or got scratched by the cat. It's been kind of funny.
Yeah, I've never actually had an encounter with a spirit pet, but I know a lot of people have, and I've had different types of experiences where I feel touch from a spirit itself, or I've had them sit on a bed, so somebody's sitting next to you. So I've had that physical type experience with a regular ghost, so there's no reason that can't happen with pets as well.
Right. How about dogs?
Oh, I mean, I've never had that, but any animal, in my experiences, for what I feel, they have a spirit, they have a soul, and we talked a little bit a while ago about how I wanted to know about what goes on the other side, and I have asked the spirits several times, different locations and where I've been, if there's animals where you are, and they say there is. So that gives me hope to see all my pets that I've passed along the way when I pass over myself.
No kidding. No kidding. Back to your house. Describe the house for us.
Well, it's really cool. It's built, like I said, in 1901. So it's got about, I would call it 4 stories, but it's really like 3 stories high. So we have our basement, which is not an old, scary, icky basement because it's been redone. It's not like finished. It's just all, like a cement block all the way around. So nothing scary about that. So that's good because I hate really old, icky basements because they're scary. But it's still real eerie down there. It's funny because I don't mind that particular basement, but I hear a lot of people don't like it. But there is one room in the basement that I do not like. So it's way in the back, and I've never liked it from the get-go. It's got like a heavy vibe to it. It's just I don't know. I can't even describe it. You just don't want to really be in there a whole lot. And it was kind of funny because when I went there with my team, and I didn't want to tell them really any of my experiences or my feels on different rooms because I want to see what they get. And when we were in that room, Teresa, she kept pacing back and forth, and she just couldn't settle down. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I just don't like this room. It makes me feel uneasy. And I've heard that from a lot of other investigators. So we haven't really had any lot of negative anything going on. I think someone got the F-bomb word on a EVP once in there. But not like nothing's ever bad happened to anybody in there. So why everybody's getting that negative vibe, I'm not quite sure. And so that's for the basement. And then upstairs we just have our kitchen, and then we have our parlor and just like a main living room. And I really like that vibe up there. It's very warm, very inviting. We have a piano up there, and we just recently found out actually what we have is the piano room used to be Fred and Minnie's old bedroom, and they both passed away in that particular room. And then I found out that Minnie had her funeral at the house, and they had her casket, which I had thought because we have in part of the living room is like the 3 windows that kind of have like that weird, almost like the top of an octagon shape too. Because back in the day, they would put their dead there for viewing of the funeral. So when the great-grandson told me that that's where her casket was and he remembered the funeral there, I was like, oh my gosh, I was right about the window thing. And then it's got the parlor, which I just absolutely love because it's got that old glass crystal chandelier. That's like my favorite part of the house. And then we have the upstairs main level, which has basically three bedrooms. We've kind of converted one into a library, and then once it's kind of a bedroom overflow of the kids' toys and another kids' room, and then we have the master bedroom, and then there's a old storage closet, so you kind of pull that open, and then it kind of tucks under the eave roof of the house. And then we have the attic, which is really cool because that runs the whole gamut of the whole house. So it's big. It's 2,100 square feet. So a lot of area, a lot of space to cover, but everything's pretty much the wood flooring is all original. Everything woodwork, the doors, everything, those are all original to the house. So that gives it a lot of charm and a lot of character. We have the steps to go upstairs. It's the two entrances. So one, you can either come up through the kitchen or you can come up through the parlor. So we don't know if maybe somebody had servants back in the day because that's the typical servant type stairwell. And yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful home.
Now, do you live there, or are you having this as a vacation home or a paranormal research home?
It's pretty much a paranormal research home. I have my own place that's in a different town, and I get down there when we can, and we also open it up for other paranormal investigators. Or you don't even have to be a paranormal investigator if you just want to come spend the night at the house. We offer options of overnight investigations or just overnight stays at the house. And then it's kind of fun because I can, correlate my research with what these other teams get, and we're kind of putting everything together, finding out who's there, why they're there, just getting information. And a lot of good experiences are coming out of the house.
So you basically have it as a tourism destination shop for the paranormal.
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of what we're doing for that. And when we all the money that we receive just goes right back into the house because it's an older home. It needed work. So far we put a new roof on. We got some gutter work to do. We got some window work and things. So it's a work in progress. We're trying to preserve it to the best of our abilities to back in the day. We mostly have antique furniture in there. Everything's, pretty much from the 1900s. And as I'm learning more about the families that live there and things that they did and liked, we're purchasing those items. So just kind of a lot of things that we have to get done around the house. But I'd like to keep a little bit of the history of the house and the town and the things that have happened there. It's just a really, really just kind of a fun project.
How has the town reacted to you putting paranormal tourism in the town?
I think at first they were like, that house isn't haunted, and they kind of were a little indifferent towards it. But I think now it's been about 2 years. We've gotten to know quite a few people in the town, as well as, they're friendly people. So when the investigators are out in the yard taking a break or pictures or whatever they're doing, the town people come up and talk to them and ask, different questions, and they get to know different people. And so I think they've really embraced it. Plus, we try to bring some of the business into the town, which is such a small town anyway. Just having people go to the cafe and just people in general coming. So I think they've embraced it pretty well. Of course, you're going to have people who don't like what you do no matter what. But I think for the most part, I think they've pretty well accepted it, and they're happy with having people coming over and visiting their town.
Now, do you charge for this? Do you charge for investigations or people wanting to use your home as a paranormal bed and breakfast, so to speak?
Yeah, it's no different than if you were to go rent at a hotel or stay at, like you say, a B&B or anything. So we do charge. It's $175 for an overnight, but you get the place from 3 p.m. till noon the next day. So for those who are investigating, gives you enough time to kind of get in, get your gear set up, have some dinner, plenty of time to investigate, and catch a few hours of sleep before you got to drive home. It's a business adventure as well.
Yeah, no, I love the idea. I do, and I think it's a great way to make the paranormal. But how have the spirits reacted to you making a paranormal hotbed there?
I ask them all the time if they're okay with people coming. So they haven't actually answered me on that. But I think they enjoy it. Now, when I first bought the house, it was, it took us a couple of months to get it ready, cleaning and doing some painting and some renovations and such. But I also had to kind of embrace the fact that they'd never really been talked to, or they don't understand what a piece of equipment is. I mean, you have to think of this like back in the day. It's 1900. They don't know what a REM pod is. This is like some crazy gadget. It could kill them as far as they know. So you have to kind of to work with them. So I had to kind of teach them what things were, how they worked, and just in general interacting. So it was really slow going at first, but now as they're getting to know how equipment is and what's going on, it's just so many people are just getting so many different things between, voices and interaction and physically touching. And I think and when I go and visit the spirits too, I tell them, hey, thanks for all that you're doing. People love it. We want to know more about you. And people who go in there, they're pretty respectful. so we're not there to antagonize.
Jill, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Jill Shelley, the Boyd House. What's it like to own a haunted house? Haunted tourism. We continue on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Jill, I'm just going to go let my dogs out. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, sounds good. I'll take a break, too.
Okay.
Is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hi. This is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is watching.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts.
All right, Jill, I'm back.
Okay.
We have about just over 2 minutes.
So what kind of dogs did you have?
I have a German Shepherd and a German Shepherd Cross.
Okay. Yeah, I like big dogs.
Oh, I love big dogs. I just love dogs in general.
We used to have a Great Dane. Unfortunately, she's passed now, but she was a great big girl.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, my two guys are a little bit older, and but they're getting there. Next half hour, Dutch. Next half hour. Hello, gorgeous and talented Simply Coco. How are you tonight? All right, we have 1 minute. 1 minute. Big thank you to Alaska's greatest athlete, the gorgeous and talented Emily Bigelow, for the amazing super chat tonight. It's a great way to support this show. Another great way is to give a thumbs up or down, whatever you prefer to do, and hit that subscribe button if you're new, if you're tuning on in. We really appreciate it, and we're about 30 seconds away from getting to the second hour of the show. I want to remind you that on Facebook.com/the SOR Vault, you can check out our swag that we have. We have great t-shirts for you to choose from, and it's a great way to support what we do here as well. So just sit tight, about 15 seconds before we launch the second half hour, or the second hour.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hemathermal. Hemathermal is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio and on Instagram @SpacedOutRadioShow. We continue on tonight with Jill Shelley. She is the owner of a haunted house, the Boyd House in Boyd, Minnesota, and we're learning all about this house. And it's a tourism spot in a town that could really use a little bit of a boost in the economy. Jill, welcome back.
Yeah, glad to be here.
You know, I'm curious from a business standpoint, because this is what this is a business. How has the community reacted to having all of these paranormal people wandering around town?
I think they enjoy the company. You know, it's a small town, so if you know anything about small towns, they like to talk. So it kind of gives them something to talk to, and they get to meet new people from other different areas. We've actually had people as far as away from Colorado come in, so they kind of get a little bit of a mix of people. But like we had talking before, at first I think they were a little hesitant on to what we were doing. I still don't think they really fully understand what we're doing at the house, but they've embraced it very well.
That's kind of cool. Has it opened up paranormal tourism anywhere else in Boyd?
No, I haven't heard of any other places that have been haunted in that location. If any of the townspeople would ever say anything about it, I totally would offer to come over and check it out. But you know, they do know what I do, and so they can always contact me.
For sure. Now, getting back to the Boyd House, And I thank Jeff, the Desert Clam, on Twitter for posting a picture of this beautiful home that, I mean, man, for 120 years old, it looks fantastic. You know, for something like that, do you have a spirit activity there daily? Like, or are there times when the spirits just say, you know what, I'm going to go hide in a closet and not come out for a while?
Well, you'll find that at any place you go. I always say it's like fishing. Sometimes you get a bite and sometimes you don't. So it just depends. There's a lot of factors, depends on the day, depends on the energy level that the spirits have. Do they want to talk to you? Because if they don't like you, they don't have to talk to you. You can't, they're their own people. You can't make them do anything. But I would say for a majority of people who have stayed at the house, maybe, it's not off the hook like you would see in Hollywood, like The Conjuring or anything. But I would say most people that have come there have some sort of experience, whether it be hearing footsteps, hearing a door slam, being touched. You always should get at least a little tidbit of something. And things change all the time, too, with the energy level of the team, what they bring as well, or the people in the house bring. There's a lot of factors involved there.
The spirits that are there, I asked you earlier how they like the tour, but a lot of areas have spirits that are positive, but there's also usually a few negative entities as well. Does the house have any negative entities?
Nothing negative. We have, as one paranormal investigator said, they can get a little cranky, excuse me, and if you push them a lot. So I wouldn't say negative. It's just more like they're being bugged. Just like if I was constantly bugging you, you'd be like, hey, can you just leave me alone now? Just because they're dead doesn't mean that they don't have feelings. And there's still a person. They're just in a different physical form right now. So it's just a lot of respect.
Have you had any issues with paranormal teams coming on in and stirring things up, not for the good, to the point where you got to say, look, you're never coming back?
No, we haven't had that. Like I said, everybody's pretty respectful. The one thing I don't personally believe in is like a Ouija board. I feel like that can bring in a lot of negative or open doors to things that shouldn't be. So that's like the one thing I require not to be done in the house. Otherwise, most people are really respectful because they want to get answers. They want to get interaction. Most people are not aggressive towards a spirit, because if I was sitting here shouting, Dave, talk to me, you probably really don't want to talk to me. So most people are generally just interacting with them in a good, positive energy type situation.
Well, that's good to know. But I know up here there are a number of teams or a number of paranormal investigators that feel it's their duty, no matter where they are, to try and cleanse places of the spirits, because they believe that the spirits shouldn't be here. They should be going to the light and going to where they're supposed to, and not hanging around in human houses and buildings and restaurants and bars or wherever they may be hanging out. Do you ever come across people who are trying to get rid of the spirits in your home?
No, I haven't had that, thankfully, because we like the spirits that are there. I feel that they're happy where they are. I've asked them if they're happy, they're fine. So, I mean, if we had some that were saying, help me, I want to cross over, we would certainly do that. But I feel that the spirits, at least at our particular location, are happy where they're at, and they don't want to leave. They're choosing to be where they are.
No, I get that, and I can appreciate that. I remember on my ghost tour, I had a psychic lady come on in on the tour, and she was really coming at things from a dark side, and I'd known her previously, and she ended up crossing over a spirit that didn't want to be crossed over, and it caused a lot of tension, and I actually had to shut a building down on the tour because of it. And so that's why I'm kind of curious if you've had to deal with that kind of drama, because there are a lot of paranormal people out there who really don't care about the rules. They're going to do what they feel they need to do.
Yeah, and like I said, I haven't had that, and I hope that doesn't happen. I don't know, I guess I feel like if the spirit would come to you and say, hey, I don't want to be here, then I think it would be okay. But I think if you were to go and clear something that's not your property, did you have the right to do that? And maybe that spirit didn't want to cross over. So, I mean, I guess it's a kind of a fine line, you know. It depends on how you view things, but I guess that's how I kind of see it.
Right. I can definitely see that, and definitely kind of go along with that. With the spirits, tell us some stories, some ghost stories from your house.
Oh gosh, there's so many. But my first experience in the house, we had two really good at the first one, so you always kind of remember those. But again, back to when the medium said you're going to experience the man coming through the back door the first night you stay there. And I was walking across in between the hallway. There's like a door that goes to the basement, so it's like a double door. So you would open it, go down a few flights of stairs, and then there's like another door that leads to the outside. But it's a really good, solid, brand new storm door. So there's no real airflow going through there. Plus there was another door, so it's like an outside door, then the storm door, and then you come into the basement stairwell. Not a lot of airflow going on there. But when I walked through, I heard like this bam, 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 like 3 loud bangs on the door. And of course I jumped like 10 feet because I was not expecting it. And, you know, I tried to debunk it. I'm like, you know, shaking the door. I'm like checking for airflow currents. There's absolutely nothing that made that same sound other than if I went to the other side and just pounded on that door. So I was like, well, that's the way in from the back door. So I guess she was right, you know. So I had that experience. And then the first time I had Donna out from our team, and this was before we had furniture or anything like that. So we had air mattresses blown up in the main living room. And she said that she felt something crawl into bed with her, like snuggle up like a small child. And she said, at first I thought it was you, but I looked and you're still sleeping. So she's just like, well, and she's like, I just went back to bed. So that was like her first experience. I've been touched. I've like felt something like tug on the back of my shirt sometimes. I'm not, I wouldn't say, I just don't have like a lot of like, I don't have any psychic ability, but I kind of get that feel when there's a spirit around. You just kind of know there's just a change in energy. So I pick up on that quite a bit. I've had doors open, not in front of me, but I've come back and the attic door's open, and you really have to turn the knob and do it, because otherwise it's not a loose, like you can shake it back and forth, it's not going to open. You have to actually turn that knob. So there's been several times, and other groups have found it that way as well. I think the biggest, coolest thing I had happen is in the basement. I had set up a poker game, and I brought all these coins from the 1900s, and then I had a really big gold coin as like the grand prize. And I had set a REM pod on it, and that's the thing that if something breaks the barrier will go off. And from like 3 p.m. till probably about 8 p.m., that thing went on and off throughout the whole night, but every time I'd run down there, it would quit. So I was going down there, and I'd reshuffle the cards, and I just, I don't know anything about poker, but I'm like, high, low, this, that, whatever. We're playing 5-card stud. I really had no idea what I was talking about, but, just making it fun and shuffling it. But I always put a card, one single card to the edge of the table. It's never hanging over the table, just right to the edge. Always told them, hey, if you've enjoyed tonight, if you've enjoyed this poker game tonight, throw it off. So just throw this card off. It'll let me know. Went down there about 11:30, did my last card shuffle. I'm off to bed. And 15 minutes later, that card goes flying off the table.
Wow.
And I had caught that on film. So I was really excited. Actually, I didn't know if I had for sure caught it on film, because sometimes I swear every time you're like, oh my God, at least the camera was on, you go back to review it, something was wrong. Your camera malfunctioned or something. So I didn't know for sure if I had caught it on camera, but I was so excited when I came down and saw that card laying on the floor. I literally picked it up and started jumping up and down and saying, thank you. And so to catch it on film was pretty incredible as well.
That's a great piece of evidence. Great piece of evidence. Why do you think the residents of your house want to stay there?
I think they just love the house so much. You know, there's so many memories. You know, you can imagine, you know, pretty much being in this house for, gosh, I think he was there he was there, Fred was from 1912 to 1958. Lived in that house that long a time, had his family, so many memories, being, you know, into the town. I mean, this is probably your happiest place that you could possibly have been. You know, this was your life, and maybe he doesn't want to leave it.
I guess that makes sense. Why leave if you don't have to, right?
Well, exactly. You know, it's probably a big part of his history, and you know, like I said, we're still learning about, you know, for sure who the other ones are. You know, but I feel like for some reason they're attached to the house. I don't think anything is really super tragic. We do have there's the little boy. He's probably like 8 years old or so, and he hides in the closet and is protected by his sister. I've had a couple other mediums think that there's something a little funny about that situation, and I have gotten, like, a couple of times when I've opened a closet, I've gotten an EVP of like a boy saying hide. And then one time I opened it and I had gotten an EVP voice of a boy that said, "Don't hurt me." So I don't know if I scared him, or maybe he was an abused child. I've had other psychics say that they feel like something tragic happened to this particular child. So we're still trying to figure that out. So yeah. It's like a puzzle we're trying to put together. So having everybody out is really good too, because like I said, we can kind of gather all this information and learn from it, and then that helps with the research too, because I think once you start to know more about the spirits and about them, and like I said, I'm bringing in things that I found, like Fred likes these kind of life magazines, so I purchased these life magazines. So making them comfortable, you're able to make contact because you're hitting on a memory or something that they like, and so you're also making a connection that way too, so that they're more comfortable to interact with you.
No kidding, I can totally see that. Has there ever been any tragedy involved with the house that may cause disruption, say around certain dates?
You know, I don't know if it was because we first started investigating. There was a team, they were probably maybe the fourth or fifth people in. They had just off the charts activities. They had like excellent spirit box. They heard voices. They had like everything. And when I went back and looked, they were there on the weekend that Fred had passed away. So I don't know if that had something to do with all their activity, but I found it kind of ironic. So I'm going to kind of watch that date. I kind of feel like if nobody books that, I want to go there that day in January.
Oh my goodness. So you even have to, even though you own it, book your own days around what the tourism dates are like.
I do. It's been really good. The summer has really picked up a lot. I actually don't have very many weekends available until after June. So I myself work full time, and so I just kind of have to find some time between my schedule and when people aren't there to get down there. And unfortunately, when I bought my own haunted location, I forgot I have to maintain it. I'm the person who does all the cleaning, so there's a lot of work that's involved as well. So I don't get to investigate as much as I thought I would be able to, but I still enjoy every minute that I'm there.
Now, do you have cameras set up around your house so that way people could watch on your website or on YouTube or something along those lines?
No, we haven't done that. We actually haven't put in any Wi-Fi at this point yet. We're going to make sure that we still continue to have a lot of people come to the house to make it feasibly possible. So just the only time I have cameras up and running is when I'm doing investigating, or then I can actually see anything else that anybody sends me as well.
Yeah, I see that, and I just love the fact that you own this. I do. Like that's just awesome. I have a buddy of mine, Lyle, in town here where I live, and I'm like, dude, I'm telling you right now, I want you to find me the most haunted property that we have. I said, here's the parameters. I said, I want it on a little bit of acreage, so that way there's nobody around. I said, I want a house that maybe has had a lot of quick transitions in families because they can't handle what's going on. And he starts laughing. He goes, "You're turning this into a bed and breakfast, aren't you?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." I said, he goes,
"Yeah, that would be cool."
I'm like, "Dude, you got 3 to 5 years to find me that property." I said, "I'm in no hurry. It's got to be the perfect property, though."
Yeah, that would be definitely fun to do. Yeah, we're hoping eventually that we can do a second place, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Definitely. We have about 2.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Haunted homeowner Jill Shelley is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And Jill, when you decided to get into the business of the paranormal, there's not a lot of people making money off of paranormal investigation. How did people react to you when you said you were charging people to go in there?
Well, there's a lot of places throughout the U.S. that do charge for overnight. You know, like I said, it's like having a Airbnb or, just no different than a hotel stay. So you would charge for those types of services. What you shouldn't charge for is doing paranormal investigations. That's kind of considered a research. It's kind of come that there have been people out there doing that. So it's just kind of, I guess, up to the individual. I guess that's old school people. I guess I should say we don't feel that that's the right thing to do. But again, like I said, this is a business adventure. It's not cheap as well. So, besides doing restorations, there's a mortgage on it, there's utilities, there's, different things that I have to pay for out-of-pocket expenses as well. So actually, I'm really not making any money on it. I'm just kind of breaking even and just kind of trying to keep the history alive.
That's very true. And, I guess the money that you do make off of it, that's just going to pay the mortgage off.
Pretty much, yes. Working on that, and like I said, we've got the restorations. There's other things I need to get done around the house, and other things I want to, do to the interior of the house. Those are projects that don't have to be done right now. We're, as you can imagine, the house, like you said, is 100 years old. It needs some help to stay afloat. So we're trying to get the things that need to keep it afloat fixed, so that we can continue to have people out.
No kidding. I would love to attend this. I really would. This is where I get really upset that I literally live in another country on the far side of North America, because all the good stuff seems to happen on the East Coast, especially with the ghosts. especially with the ghosts. So I'm a little jealous of you. Jill, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour here of hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Jill Shelley, the owner of the Haunted Boyd House in Minnesota. We'll be back talking more ghosts with Jill right after this on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. All right, we are clear.
All right.
Having
I'm gonna just run to the restroom.
You go.
Real
Go.
quick.
I'm going to do this here because at this time of night, we always love to give a shout out to our favorite Dutchman, Gary the Dutchman from Parts Unknown, Weight Unknown. They call him the Fraser Valley Beard Hunter because he owns MightyMooseBeard.com, where all you got to do is go to MightyMooseBeard.com to pick up your Mighty Moose Beard Oil. Let me show you how it works. I'm using this brand new True North blend that has literally just been released. Grab a little bit. Drip it into your hand like so. Put the lid on. Make sure you twist it on up just like that because you don't want to spill. And Lord knows that if anybody's going to spill, it's me. And then what we do is we just rub it into our hands like so. Get your hands nice and greasy. And then just massage it in. Massage it in. Now this one has a beautiful smell. Smells like evergreen. Smells like the forest. Like you're walking through a bunch of Christmas trees. I like it. It's all natural. Gary the Dutchman doesn't use any chemicals whatsoever. And for you specifically at Spaced Out Radio, literally, Gary's going to give you $1 off if you use the promo code SOR2019. And for the ladies, this could be used for you as well because you can put it in your hair and it keeps your hair oily, smooth. The good oil, not the bad oil, the good oil. Keeps it fresh. It helps prevent split ends. And we all know how that sucks, ladies, or men with long hair. Split ends suck. So use the promo code SOR2019. You get your beard oil or your hair oil, whatever you want. And you can have the same stuff that I'm using. I know there's been a couple of orders from our chat room recently. Most recently, Adam Hill. Thank you, Adam, for supporting Mighty Moose Beard Oil. And Gary the Dutchman. Look, there's not a lot of Dutchmen who are going to give you a deal out there. Try finding another one. But Gary is, because Gary's a good guy. He's a good guy. He likes his Vancouver Canucks. And they're not doing so well. But that's okay. So we appreciate Gary for coming on in and being a sponsor of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you, Gary. And MightyMooseBeard.com is the website. No, it is not made with real moose, Jason. Not made with real moose. Close. Close, because we use real moose. 60% of the time, it would work every time. Yeah. Just saying. Yeah, I like this new smell, Gear. It's very outdoorsy. Crow Creek Cryptids, how are you, man? Good to see you. Jason William, thanks for coming. You know when you feel like your nose is all stuffed up, but you go to blow your nose and nothing comes out? I'm not trying to be gross or anything, but you ever notice that? I have that going on right now. And I'm almost out of my Vicks inhaler. See if we can clear some of this up. Ah, that's better. There we go. There we go. It's too cold to have allergies up here yet. Jill, are you back?
I'm back.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We have about just over 1 minute here. No, I will not stop. I love my Vicks, Dirt Road. Love my Vicks. And when you have a nose that's been pushed in about 4 different directions and you can barely breathe out of it, using it helps. Using it helps. That's right, Susan. What other show could you watch a guy snort Vicks? That's right. No, Tuesday nights will be Magic 8 Ball night when we're not going to Vancouver. Vin. All right, we're into our final commercial now. Thank you to Emily Bigelow for the super chat. It's a great way to support what we do. Thank you to everyone who's given us a thumbs up and down, and the newbies who've hit that subscribe button. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott, and we really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on, going to Minnesota here, talking with Jill Shelley, who not only owns the Boyd House, the haunted house in Boyd, Minnesota, but she is also part of St. Croix Paranormal. St. Croix. Or do you pronounce it Croix? Do you go American or French?
It's Croix.
So St.
It's
Croix.
Croix.
St. Croix.
St. Croix.
St. Croix. Now I'm teasing you. I have a lot of Canadian listeners, so we got to go with the French version.
Yeah, I know. That's how we know it.
I want to ask you in regards and change gears here. You know, tell us about your paranormal team, St. Croix Paranormal.
Yeah, we formed our group in 2010. I just made up a group of real fun people have now become quite my family. So there's 5 of us team members that we have actually started doing just local businesses, private homes, and then we moved on to traveling all over the U.S. to some of the more well-known haunted locations in search of answers.
How many members do you have?
We have 5. We have 5 people in our team.
Okay, so you guys go traveling around trying to find everything out that's going on around the areas of the paranormal. Do you try and stick to areas that haven't been investigated very much, or do you kind of run to the areas where you know they're hot spots for everybody, whether it's Waverly Hills or Alcatraz or the big name places?
Oh, we'll pretty much go anywhere. If we see, places that allow you to come in and do investigations, and yeah, we'll go there pretty much. We've done, like you say, the more well-traveled and the not so more well-known. It's kind of fun to do the more not so known places because there's very little on it, and you can just kind of maybe find just a few tidbits here and there to help you, but it's kind of a new learning experience as to where, if you go to some of the well-known haunted locations, it's like you hear so much about, like you said, you brought up Waverly Hills, so you hear so much about the death chute and the death tunnel, so you kind of almost have that expectation of that's what's going to happen in a way, so it's you don't have an opinion formed on a particular place. So we kind of like the little lesser known underground, just kind of getting going places.
It's funny because I had Ross Allison from Seattle on last week, and we were talking about this. One of my pet peeves with the paranormal is, especially it's on social media, where everybody is bragging about Waverly Hills or Gettysburg or all of these places. And granted, they're Disneyland-type places for paranormal enthusiasts, which I get and I can totally understand. But don't you find, and I'm just curious your opinion on this, that a lot of the best ghost stories come out of these small, unknown areas or towns where each town has a little bit of a local legend that always keeps propping itself up?
Oh, yeah, I agree. There's sometimes places are made up a lot of hype, and then you kind of get this expectation of that's what's going to happen, and then you kind of get let down a little bit. It's not that it's not haunted, it's just not up to the expectations of what you built it up to be. And so, yeah, like I said, I think the lesser-known places are kind of fun. The little uncharted territory, so it kind of gives you a little bit more openness as to what's going on. So I think that's fun.
No kidding. I could totally see that being completely fun as well with everything that you do. What do you like to do when you go to these locations? Tell me and take me through an investigation, because there's a lot of people listening out there who may not know how paranormal investigation works.
Well, I will say what I've learned is our team kind of takes it a little to the extreme. And by meaning that is we probably have way too many camcorders that any team member should own. And we probably same with the voice recorders. So we, if we're doing a huge place, I mean, we honestly could set out about 27 camcorders along with 27 voice recorders that are running for the full, we're there for 10 hours, 14 hours. So there's a lot of work that goes into investigating. So there's a lot of, and it starts from the day you book that investigation. So now you got to do your research, and you got to know that place. You got to know the history. You want to know the paranormal hotspots. You want to know what kind of things that you should look for. Maybe it'll give you an idea like, hey, so since they kind of got that, I'm going to go off with this. So you got to you got all that preparedness, and then your travel, all that kind of fun stuff, planning. Then when you get there, with all that setup, so you kind of have an idea of what you're going to do because you've done some research, but things will change because now that you've done a walkthrough, so you got to get all that set up. That can take, if it's a huge place, it could take a good couple hours to get that all rolling. And then for our group, depending on who's all going, but we usually split into teams. And, and again, it depends on the venue, like how big of a place is it. So if we're doing asylums, we split into teams with walkie-talkies so that we can keep in touch with each other. And we'll say, okay, for the next 2 hours, you're on this floor and I'm on this floor. And so you just kind of go through, see what you get, then you regroup, kind of discuss what you've gotten, and then you just take another plan and switch it out. So, a lot of work. People don't realize how much work is involved. And then, going through the evidence, now we got to watch all this film footage. We got to listen to all this audio and then put it all together. So, I kind of feel, people watch the TV shows or they'll see things. They're like, oh my gosh, things are happening like crazy. But it's you got to remember it's all edited, because we could spend 14 hours in one place. And most of it is spent walking around in the dark, waiting and asking for something to happen. And so this, 5-minute video you might see took 14 hours to get all together. So a lot of work involved, but it's fun. That's why we do it.
When you guys are out there searching for paranormal and doing the investigation, wherever your location may be, what are you trying to solve? Because you don't sound like somebody who plays ghosts, who plays for the thrill of it all.
Well, for the most part, like I say, these well-known haunted locations, you kind of know a little bit of what you're getting into based on the history of the place, based on what other team members have gotten. So in those particular situations, we're looking to, say the ghost name is Sally. You want to try to make some communication with Sally and verify that that's who it is based off of the information you were given. So you can make that connection that, yes, hey, this is Sally. She said she was Sally. She's touching the equipment, responding to this particular name. And just kind of go forth from there. And then we also spend some time, we like to, when we investigate, we don't like to focus on the death so much of a spirit because we already know how they died. They know how they died. Who wants to reflect on how you died? Nobody wants to talk about that. So we like to reflect on the spirit's life. What was your favorite thing to do? What did you do in life? What did you like? Who were you? So we try to learn a little bit more about those information.
Will you cross someone over if you have to?
We don't know how to do that, so we don't. But if we did learn and somebody wanted to, I would. If somebody was asking me for help, because we've been at locations where you hear like on the spirit box, please help or send help, things like that. So in those particular situations, we will recommend that, hey, your spirit isn't happy. They don't want to be here. You need to find somebody, or here's who we recommend that can help you move that spirit on.
What's the weirdest or strangest occurrence you have had as a ghost hunter?
I don't know if I would say like weird. I don't have anything weird. I mean, you have sometimes, I approach things very scientifically. Like I want to know if my machine's going off, why? Why is it going off? Could this have been caused by such and such? Could the electrical cause this? What other things? So sometimes if I have weird things like things are turning on and off or equipment's malfunctioning, in my eyes, I feel like it's malfunctioning. Sometimes when the REM pod goes off, I'm like, all right, put a new battery in it. Oh, it's still going off. Let's switch it out, put a different REM pod in there. So I want to make sure 100% that things are legit. Can't think of anything that's like super weird. I mean, we've had scary stuff or startling stuff.
Okay, tell me a scary story then. Tell me a scary story then.
Well, I think one that was, I would say for me, our very first location that we went to that was well known was the Valiska ex-murder house, and that was really creepy for me, just knowing that if people don't know the history, that there were 6 kids and 2 adults that were killed to death with an axe and they never found the murderers. And so just that whole scenario of even being in the house was really creepy. We had a lot of different experiences, but I was sitting in the kids' room, and my friends were just off in another room doing something. So we were going to do something in the kids' room and wait for people to arrive. And the beds that they have are like the old, instead of having a box spring, they used to have like just like this spring coil thing that just hung on a frame. So it's very bouncy, very boingy. And I was just sitting there waiting for everybody to come. And I was like, gee, I hope you kids come and interact with us. And all of a sudden I just like felt this whole, like almost like a butt or somebody dropped down on that bed, and the whole thing just started to shake like somebody sat next to me. And I just jumped up so far, and I ran out in the hall because I was like, oh my God. So that was kind of startling. That happened with me. So I did come right back. But yeah, there's just different things that they just kind of creep you out. I don't like to be alone, so we always go in teams. But there's sometimes I try to be brave, and I'll go off by myself, but I don't never get really far because then I start getting a little creeped out about things. But I know when we were at Prospect Place in Ohio, they have the area where they had the servants' quarters, and it just had such a eerie feel. I was like, oh, I'm going to go off by myself and take pictures. And every time I came by that servants' quarters, I just could not bring myself to go in there. It was just It's just a really eerie, creepy feel.
What scares you?
I think I haven't had it happen, but what would scare me is if I open my eyes from sleeping and there's somebody standing there. So that's like my biggest fear of investigating, because I know we're kind of a weird group, because I thought this was a normal thing, but we actually go to sleep where we're investigating, and I found out a lot of people don't do that, but we do, and so that would be like my biggest fear. I'm always scared I'm going to open my eyes and somebody's going to be standing there.
That was my first ever real ghostly sighting. It was a little girl.
Oh, really?
It was a little girl. I thought it was my daughter, till I realized as I woke up that my daughter was sleeping on my arm in between me and the back of the couch. And there was a little girl standing there. And this was back in 2001 when VCRs still existed. And I literally screamed like a schoolgirl after I could see right through her, seeing the time 4:02 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a little trippy.
Cool, yeah, you don't see apparitions too often. They got to have a lot of energy for that.
Oh, very, very much so. Very much so. But, I think if I would be freaked out is poltergeist type activity. I've never seen a glass move along a table. I've never seen a chair move or drawers open or doors open and shut. I've heard them, but, I've been startled before. But poltergeist activity to me, I've never seen it. I think I would be brave to see it. Have you ever experienced it?
Like you say, you kind of find it afterwards, like that card on the floor, or you come by and all of a sudden the door's open. You hear footsteps, but yet nobody's there. Just that kind of different thing that I've experienced, but I've never actually. And we were at Melbourne Manor in Iowa, and I didn't see it actually happen. It's kind of like one of those things where it happens and all of a sudden you look, because it did happen. And, it wasn't like a huge thing, but we were settling down, kind of having some snacks before bed. And Teresa had a paper plate, and it was on a table next to her. And then, she had put it up there. She was done with her food. It was an empty paper plate. And all of a sudden, it came flying. It just flew past her and landed on the floor. Now, there was no airflow. There was no fans on. There was nothing going on that would have caused that paper plate to fly I wouldn't say halfway across the room, but it was probably a good 10 feet. And, it's just like somebody threw it like a Frisbee. That was just kind of a weird thing. So we didn't see it actually fly until it went past us. And we're like, okay, where'd that plate just come from? So, that I think for me would probably be the only poltergeist activity, but I have, I've had them interact with me with different equipment, like, hey, can you touch this REM pod? And they'll do it, on command, or maybe the K2 meter. They'll touch it and use that for communications. But, as far as seeing actual stuff happen, no.
Oh, man. I just don't know what that would be like. You go sit on a chair and it gets pulled from you. You fall on the ground.
Yeah.
I want to know what that's like. I don't know why, but it just kind of trips me out. We've got about 5 minutes here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Jill Shelley is our guest tonight from St. Croix Paranormal in Minnesota, and we love having her here. What do you like to investigate? Do you like investigating buildings? Do you like going into people's homes? What do you like to do?
I like my favorite ones to do are old hospitals or insane asylums, are just amazing to me. It's just, I'm a little bit of a old school kind of person. Or old soul, I should say. I just like the old history, just the buildings, you can stand in that building and just picture it back in the day and go, oh my God, this building used to be so amazing. and it's just that step back in time, and just they're big, they're kind of fun. It's like urban exploring. I love it. It's just, yeah, those are my favorite ones to do.
I have a question coming from our audience here, and I forget who asked it. It was asked probably about 35 minutes ago, and I didn't have time until now. But have you ever had any sort of sleep paralysis that you've dealt with regarding the paranormal?
I personally have not had that experience. I know I have read about it and have seen other people have had that, but me personally, no, I've never experienced that.
All right, Vinster wants to know, why do you not like Ouija boards?
Because I feel that opens in a portal to a whole other dimension, to more of a negative type energy, and you don't know exactly who you're talking to. That's kind of why I tend to stay away from it. Maybe some of it stems from some of the negativity from movies, but just my overall personal feel, I just get a negative vibe from them. So it's just something I don't like to deal with. And whether it's true or not, that's just who I am, and so I don't like to deal with those.
What's your opinion then on things like pendulums or tea leaves or tarot?
Yeah, they have their place. With that I guess I don't know a whole lot about that kind of stuff. So I guess I don't have a strong opinion either way, whether they're good or bad.
So what's the difference then between those and a Ouija board, if they're all talking to spirits?
Well, I don't know. I guess I kind of feel like the Ouija board is, like I said, I think it's probably stemmed from all those movies.
True.
But you just hear a lot of negative stuff with it, and I know we kind of played with it as teenagers, but we probably hyped it up even more than it was, and just said, "Oh, all this bad stuff happened after we used it." So yeah, I guess I just haven't had any good positive things or heard much positive come out of it. So it's just something I just like to stay away with. I like to be, around positive stuff, not so much negative energy.
So in other words, if anybody wants to bug you, they get you something to do with Ouija on it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh man. Do you have a Ouija board story that kind of freaked you out from your child years?
Yeah, I do remember we were playing with it in my friend's house. We actually skipped school that day and went to her house. So, hey, let's play with the Ouija board. And I just remember it got really, really cold, and the windows kind of frosted up. And, her heat was working fine. And then she had a guinea pig in the room, and it was just whistling away, going crazy all of a sudden when it was quiet the whole time. Now, is this coincidence? What happened? I don't know. But when you're 16, that was pretty creepy.
Oh, goodness. I don't mind them. I don't have one. I don't mind them, though. I try and think that, that they're just the same as any other sort of communication, even like the ghost box. Because you really don't know, even with a ghost box, what's talking to you. You only get to assume.
Right. And I actually had thought that I for many years, I said, geez, I kind of feel like my spirit box is kind of the same as a Ouija board. It's just portable. Portable and audible.
What's the strangest EVP that you've ever had, as we got about a minute to go?
We were at Reverend Acres, where men are supposedly possessed, and we have one male member on our team. He got really uncomfortable, heard some footsteps coming down the stairs, decided to go sleep out in the van, and at that same time we got an EVP of a guy, or somebody say, kill one. So that was the strangest EVP that we've ever captured. Of course, I wonder to this day, which one did they want to kill? I don't know.
Right? I mean, it's like, my goodness. Like, let's just get this thing going here. Probably the coolest one that I have heard personally was we actually got a name off of a plane crash that happened up here.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, and one of the persons, when we were doing an EVP session over a ghost box, actually gave their name, and when we checked the name on the memorial plaque, sure enough, that person's name was on there. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. I like it when you can verify what's going on. That's even, golden right there.
For sure. Jill, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Jill Shelley, St. Croix Paranormal in Minnesota. More ghost talk with Jill as we have her for another 30 minutes. Then we're going to get to the SOR Newswire and the thought of the day. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, I'm just going to run my dogs out. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
All right, Jill, I am back, and we got just over 2 minutes to go.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm having a good time. Thank you.
You're Yeah, it's been fun. Enjoying it.
When we get to the bottom of the hour commercial break, just sit right through, and I'll say a proper goodbye during the commercial break, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Not a problem.
Yeah, it worked out well. My work is letting me come in a little bit later tomorrow.
Oh, that's
I'm going
nice.
to be up a little late.
You're like, I got a radio interview to do from Canada. Canada? Where's
Yeah,
Canada?
Yeah, they all know what I do, so I'm just like, So they're like, yeah, you can come at 8:30. That's fine.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Well, thank them for us.
Oh, I believe me, yesterday actually now, I said, thank you so much. Otherwise, I would have had to been up at 5 a.m. to go to work.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, we don't need any of that. Don't need any of that.
No. I got to be on my game. I do surgery all day. So.
Oh, my goodness. That's a lot of blood.
Nah, you got tourniquets for that. It's well controlled.
Nope, not Davey. Not Davey. Davey doesn't do a lot of blood very well. Not going to lie. All right, we have about 45 seconds. Hey, 416, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Tom, good to have you here. Talk to Tom. Talk to Occurrence, the booking guy, about that. Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got aliens. All right, 10 seconds. Thank you to Vinster and Emily for the awesome super chats tonight. Really love you guys. Thank you so much.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Thanks to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hemathermal. Hemathermal is your password. Use it wisely. Let me try that again. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight from St. Croix Paranormal, Jill Shelley is here. She also is the owner of the haunted Boyd House, which is really cool. We've been talking ghosts all night long. Tell us a ghost story, Jill, one that really creeped you out.
Oh, let's see. I don't know. I kind of told you some of them already. I can't think of anything that's super scary right this instant. Kind of put me on the spot there, Dave.
Well, that's kind of what I do. It's kind of my job. But okay, let's go with this. Is there anything that you've experienced that troubled you?
There was an instant we were at. There's a big asylum here in Minnesota. It's called the Fergus Falls Regional Treatment Center. They don't really allow a lot of paranormal people in there. They have in the past. A few select groups have been able to come in. Really cool experience. Again, just big, huge asylum. Beautiful on the inside. But we all had, and I had gotten together a couple other people to help because it was such a big building. So I think we had 4 different teams out, and everybody had walkie-talkies so we could communicate. And this was probably maybe about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And again, this is a really remote, northern, up in the north. Nothing really happening in town. So it's out there. We kept getting a kid coming through on the walkie-talkie. We'd hear a lot of squelching going on. But then we'd get like a kid's voice, and it would say, "Papa, I love you." And just kind of, it started interacting with us on the walkie-talkies. And then some of us could hear it, and then other times nobody even got a call on the walkie-talkie because I had, everybody had a walkabout camera with them so you could see what's happening in real time with everyone. And sometimes I would hear the kid coming through, but the other team never heard it. It was just weird. So I couldn't 100% call it paranormal, but because it was also about 2, 3 in the morning, what little kid is going to be on the radio and saying, "Papa, I love you, come find me"? It was just something that I'll never really know, so that kind of bugs me in a way. But it was just a really cool thing to have happen.
Do you ever feel you'll get to the point where you get to the answers that you want out of the paranormal?
No, because there's so many things. Like I said, I want to know more about the other side. So I've asked a lot of questions. What I personally have learned, at least from what they've told me now, whether it's true or not, I can't say this 100%. But they do say your loved ones come and get you. They have told me that you do meet new people on the other side. So those are some of the findings I have found out. But there's just so many things. It seems like when you talk about God or heaven, like everything shuts down. Like you lose all communications. And I kind of feel, and I've had spirits, through different equipment tell me the answer to this is yes, is they can't tell you certain things. Like they're almost bound by a secret. Like we can't tell you about God. We can't tell you about heaven. So those are things I'm trying to learn about. But I don't think I'll ever find the answer till I actually pass away, because I don't think you do until that happens.
That's an interesting thing, because I know other people who have had that happen too, where they've asked certain pointed questions about what it's like on the other side, and the ghosts clam up. Like I know with one ghost that we dealt with in my own house, the ghost told the psychic that I was working with that I wasn't supposed to see him. It was almost against the rules of me seeing him. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. I think that's why they choose to interact or not interact at some point. And, I think there's certain things we're not supposed to know, and then sometimes we find out, or like you say, I think maybe the ghost might slip up, as you say, and go, "Oops, I revealed that. Wasn't supposed to do that." So I just think there are things that I don't know why, because we'll never fathom that until we pass away, of why we're not supposed to know certain information.
What would you like to know?
I'd like to confirm that there actually is a heaven. I think that's what it is. I think it's hard. I mean, I kind of feel like, so there's like 2 instances that really stand out to me as far as the heaven things go, and they're all personal, but my uncle had passed away, and my aunt had some dealings with him shortly after he passed away. It didn't continue. It only happened, shortly after. Some may say it could have been grief-stricken. But he did come to her one day and say, "Hey, I left you a present on my grave." So she went, and there was a dozen roses. She called everybody in the family, as siblings, whatever. Nobody had left roses on the grave. So to this day, nobody really knows how the roses got there. But he did tell her, she said that he was sitting in a chair the last time she saw him. He was sitting in a chair, came to her and said, "There is a heaven, and it's beautiful, and I'm happy." And then before my mother passed away, I had asked her, Can you just somehow tell me there's another side? This is my deal. Of course, she's very religious, and she, of course, said, well, I don't know. I might have to go to purgatory. I can't. I just got to be on my way, which is totally something my mom would say. But interesting enough, and I took this as a sign, my daughter, a couple of days after her death or whatever, she said, Mom, it was the most vivid dream about Grandma, and she looked healthy, not like when she was sick. She goes, but it's weird because we were just sitting in a room, it was just me and her, and she goes, it was just so real, and she told me to tell you, the answer is yes. And she goes, I don't know what that means, but she wanted me to tell you that. So I was like, oh, my God, that was my sign.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Vince wants to know if you believe in life after death.
Oh, of course I do. That's why I do it. Like I said, originally I started because I wanted to something. I wanted to sure after death that wasn't it. So yeah, and confirming that, doing all the investigations and the communications and things I've had, there is totally life after death, in my opinion.
Where do you think we go? Or where are we supposed to go?
Well, that's comes back to what we're trying to say. Are there different planes? Are there different levels that you're at? Is there a heaven? Is there, the hell? Is there, are you just out in space? Nobody kind of really knows. Or do you just stay? Do you have the choice? Do I want to stay? I want to stay in this physical world, or I want to go up to the spiritual world. So it's just a lot of different things, I think. Again, we'll never know until we pass ourselves.
What haven't you experienced yet in the paranormal world that you would love to have happen?
I would, like you said, I would love to see a full-on apparition, where I'm looking at it and going, like how I would stare at you. So I would love to see the full-blown apparition. I think that would be so surreal. It would be really awesome. I don't know how he'd react. I feel like I would try to keep calm and cool and collective, but I don't know how until it happens how it would be. And the thing, when that happens, it's so short, it's so quick, it's just so I don't even have time to react and process it. Interesting enough, as long as I've been in the field, and I haven't seen that other than that shadow figure, we were actually, my husband he believes in ghosts, but he's not an active, investigator. He supports me, and he likes to see the, things that I do and evidence I get. And, of course, he spends time at the house because he has to do some of the manly work that I can't do. But he's a jokester and everything, but I always told him, I'm like, don't ever fool with me about this house. Like, if you ever see anything, I want you to be honest. Don't make it up as a joke, whatever. He promised. And he said he had come in through the front door and looked up at the top of the stairs for a second. And he said, he goes, there's a girl standing there. She looked about 18 with long brown hair, kind of wearing like something like whitish, like a dress or something. He's like, for a second I thought it was you, and then it was gone. So I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for how long, and then you get to see something.
Doesn't that bug you? When here you are, the one wanting the experience, and it happens to someone else?
Oh, yeah. You get jealous. You're not mad, but you're kind of jealous about it, But, sometimes maybe because I want it so bad, that's probably why it's not going to happen.
Darn it. Well, that's kind of terrible. That's kind of terrible. I think if I could experience anything in the paranormal, I would love to be able to see, almost like the Disneyland haunted house, where you got like a bunch of spirits just like wandering around doing doing their daily chores or playing a game of poker or working on the car in the garage. I think that would be just so surreal, just to stare and watch almost like into a different place in time. And that kind of leads to my next question for you is, do you believe that in certain aspects that the ghosts aren't really ghosts? They're just walking on a different timeline simultaneously, and maybe we're the ghosts to them.
Well, yeah, that's a different perspective of looking at it, because I have asked them, like, can you see me? They say yes. Sometimes I'll ask, like, what color shirt am I wearing, and they'll mail it. I've gotten EVPs that directly relate to what I am particularly doing at that moment. So they are watching you. They can see you. It would be interesting, though, if they were like, because you got to think, too, like, what do they think of us? I mean, you think most of the spirits that we're talking to are, older, 18, 1900s mostly. And if you think of how they dressed back then and how they acted to how we are today, like, how weird are we? So I've always kind of thought that, too.
Do you believe there will ever come a day when we solve the actual paranormal mystery?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Science has come a long way. Technology has come a long way. Me personally, I think, as we talked earlier, there's certain things I don't think you're supposed to know until you pass on. So in my opinion, I don't think we'll ever find the answer. Well, you're alive anyway. We won't find the answer.
That's interesting, because the way technology is changing so quickly and the way ghost hunting gear is changing so quickly, I'm actually quite surprised by that answer.
Yeah, it does, although, maybe a food for thought, really. Because I always kind of joked, I'm like, okay, so we're talking to all these ghosts from the 1900s. So let's fast forward into like maybe the year 3000. So people our age who are used to this technology, used to cell phones, I'm like, yeah, pretty soon we're just going to set a phone out and say, text me the answer, for us more modern type ghosts. So I always kind of joke about that, but maybe that could be a breakthrough, fast forwarding way into the future to where they can actually say text on the phone or something. Maybe something that will come through as time goes on. You just never know.
I wonder if it's going to happen. I hope to see it happen, though. Because I think there's a lot of people that would or could really benefit those who are trying to figure out their own anxieties towards death.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it would help people a lot if you feel, I wouldn't say comforted, by the thought of death, but knowing that you're just going to go on another journey, I think would be something that would be kind of comforting to you. And I think for me, like I said, originally starting because I was afraid of death, I think has made me not as afraid to die. I don't want to, of course, but I don't think I'll be as afraid knowing that I will be seeing my relatives and my family and my pets. So you have that to look forward to.
That is awesome. That is completely awesome because, for many people out there, the anxiety is real. I want to turn the attention to your evidence and everything that you kind of get from that. What do you do with it?
I just kind of, we always put little mini videos out of what we get, but it all depends on where we're at and what it is. So everything relates to where we're at, especially now with the Boyd House. I'm collecting more with, what did the spirit box say? What kind of EVPs? Who is this person? Can we figure this out? And just kind of learning, or if I'm asking questions about the other side, just kind of putting that, in the back of my mind. Okay, they said this. So yeah, it's just all learning and research and kind of developing ideas and theories is kind of what you go off of.
So when you go and look at your evidence, do you keep it stored to see if you have any type of other evidence that kind of lines up similarly to that one, or do you keep every case individual?
Oh, I pretty much keep everything individual, but you kind of always remember certain things. So if you come across another thing, you're like, oh, hey, that kind of happened at this place, or hey, I asked this question here and I asked this question here, and they said the same answer. So let's try it at this location and see what kind of answers we get at that type of thing. So you just because you're always kind of working, you just kind of put it in the back of your mind. But each place that we go to, I create a file folder of everything, and everything's under the video, the audio, anything else we may have experienced there. And just kind of keep it there and just kind of have it there to go back and look at if I ever need to.
If you were teaching beginners how to ghost hunt, what would you teach them?
Be respectful to the spirits and be respectful to the building that you're in, and that would probably be like my number one thing. I think you're going to go real far if you show a lot of respect.
What about going into the field in order to prepare? Like, do you want someone spending hundreds of maybe thousands of dollars in gear, or do you think that's necessary?
I don't think you need thousands and thousands of dollars of gear. I think if you just have kind of the basics to go through, you don't necessarily need to film everything. If you're not in it to, catch like, oh, I want to show everybody the world that, Spirit touched the REM pod, you don't really need that. I think your basic things that you need is like a voice recorder and your inner instincts are one thing. Whether you can get them to touch a piece of equipment, that's just kind of a bonus, But I think the two things are just your inner instincts and the voice recorder.
Sounds good. What about locations for new people?
It depends on what you're looking for. I kind of like anywhere where you're not doing public ghost tours, just because you can't control the evidence and what's going on, so you can't rule out certain contaminations of things. So I like to go where you can just be the only one there, and I would probably start out with like a smaller type venue, smaller home situation versus starting out at, let's go to Waverly Hills. So that's like a lot of ground to cover. Super cool, awesome place to go. Love it, been there. But just starting out, I'd just start out with the smaller venues and kind of get your groove on and figure out what you're going to do, how your team's going to roll and that kind of thing.
Interesting. So with about 90 seconds to go here with you as this show has flown on by, and I want to say thank you for taking the time to hang out with us and have a great discussion about the paranormal and the Boyd House. What's something that you would love to people entering the paranormal to know about this field?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, and the people that you're going to meet are awesome. A lot of great support. It becomes a big, as they say, para family. Everybody kind of knows a little bit of everybody, and everybody just kind of collaborates and works together, and it's just a great field to be in.
Now, for you, where can people find more information about your team, St. Croix Paranormal, or the Boyd House?
You can reach us on our website at stcroixparanormal.com. That's kind of got our information there. You can contact us through that. It's got some stuff on the Boyd House. We're on Facebook as well, St. Croix Paranormal, or our Facebook page for Boyd House on Facebook as well. And then direct email, you can hit us at boydhouse217@yahoo.com.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Jill, and telling us all about the Boyd House and telling us all about some of your experiences with the paranormal. That's always a lot of fun when we get to hear those firsthand accounts from paranormal investigators telling us what the field is all about. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was super fun. I enjoyed being here.
Yeah, I appreciated having you too. You stick around for 2 seconds here because I got to get this thing ready to go over to break. As Jill Shelley, by the way, and don't forget her website if you want to check everything out is stcroixparanormal.com. It's out of Minnesota. Good hockey state there. The state of hockey, to be honest. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Great job, Jill. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Nice lady. Nice lady. Hey, everyone. How are you? How are you? And yes, Sandra, I like celery. I love celery. It's good for you. Excuse me. But I also like cucumbers. Cucumbers are my favorite dish, or my favorite vegetable. Sliced or whole, doesn't matter. Not them short little sour-tasting garden cucumbers. I'm talking the long English cucumbers. Apparently, Sandra doesn't like celery. She's a celery phobe. Hey, Irish Lincoln, how are you? You can't have pancakes right now, Eric. What time is it where you are? Eric. You know better than that. You know better than that. Yeah, 2:38 is fast food time, Eric. It's not pancakes time. It's fast food time. Burger King, Taco Bell, McDonald's. Even on a bad day, some Carl's Jr. Chill Farm, Brisbane, how are you? Good morning, or no, it'd be about good afternoon to you. How are you? Irish Lincoln, you do need to talk to Occurrence. Okay, if you're in New York City, you should be eating pizza, fresh pizza, right now, with a side of garlic bread. Hello, the gorgeous Jenster. What are you doing up at this hour? You crazy child, you. I'll give you a great dish if you ever want to try something to eat. Take bell tomatoes, slice them up. All right, lay them on a plate, the tomato on the bottom. Take a piece of bocconcini cheese, put it on the tomato. Then put a slice of cucumber on top. Douse the cucumber, bocconcini, and tomato in any kind of vinaigrette you like. And then put a little oregano on there. You will thank me. They are addicting. Third, we're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate you taking the time to tune us on in. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, let's do this thing. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the scary. A human skull was discovered by a pair of ghost hunting YouTubers near an abandoned hotel in the United Kingdom. Danny and Felicity Duffy were filming just after midnight this past Monday near a former hotel in Bolton when they stumbled across the remains. Footage shows that they first noticed an army-style jacket on the ground before taking a closer look at the object next to it. "What the hell is that?" Danny could be heard exclaiming in the video, to which his wife responded, "Move away from that. Do you know what that looks like?" "Oh my God, it's a jaw." Danny put on the gloves and picked up the remains from the ground. "This is definitely no toy. This is real." Police have since confirmed that the remains, in fact, do belong to a human. This was a very surprising discovery made in the early hours of Monday morning, and we have been working ever since to establish the circumstances here, Detective Inspector Debbie Hurst stated. "What we do know is that the item found had been confirmed to be a human skull, but it is still not known how old the skull is and how long it has been at that location for." Despite the few details known about the remains, Hurst says there are no perceived threat to the community. By the very nature of this discovery, we do understand some concern in the community and, of course, the sheer intrigue that this investigation brings with it. However, we are confident that there is no threat to the public, and this isn't currently linked to any other ongoing investigations. Could you imagine that? Ghost hunting, and then all of a sudden tripping over a skull or a human body? Oh, that would be freaky. That would be freaky. And then if it all of a sudden started communicating with you through your ghost box that you're carrying, "Help me, help me, help me, help me." Yeah, go figure. A Milwaukee woman got tongues wagging when she shared a direct message on social media about a failed date. She said it was a man, identified only as CK, who wanted money back from the dates the pair went on. that failed to spark anything romantically. Alex Kolboth shared the message, which asked for money via Venmo app. The reason I ask is since you and I won't be seeing each other anymore, it's only fair to ask for equal payment from you for the dates we went on, the message said. I believe it was 3 separate times we went out to bars, restaurants, where I paid for us both each time. CK said she was a fair girl and felt that $35 was accurate, but Kolboth didn't agree. It's the audacity for me, she tweeted, along with the screenshots. Some sided with Kolboth, but not everyone agreed. Some Twitter users said she should fork out the dough and pay for her side of the dates. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are we going to cancel culture dates now on a who should pay for who? Look, the rule is set at the beginning. If it's a Dutch date, both sides are paying. All right? Are we allowed to say that, a Dutch date? Are we still allowed to say that? I'm not sure. But if it is, and both agree to pay, then you do it. I know if I was going out on a date and I asked somebody out, I would expect to drive. I would expect to pay. I would expect to cover the night's costs. So no, I vote with this young lady. Do not give the money back. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to. Qantas Airlines is doing something really cool in Australia. They're incentivizing consumers by offering a mystery itinerary. Yeah, so what do we mean by this? Well, the airline plans to operate 3 domestic mystery flights for travelers looking for surprise experiences in Australia. Qantas has first introduced the idea of mystery flights back in 1990s, but hasn't operated any in years since. Daring travelers can request a seat starting March 4th, after which they can simply show up to the airport, be whisked away to an unknown destination on one of their Boeing 737 aircraft. The vaccine rollout is bringing a lot more certainty, and domestic border restrictions should be soon a thing of the past. In the meantime, these flights turn that mystery into a positive by creating a unique experience for the many people keen to start traveling again, said Qantas Group Chief Customer Officer Stephanie Tully. Man, if I won that, I would just love it. Wouldn't you just love to do that? Seriously. Just hop on a plane, don't know where you're going until the pilot lands and says, hey, guess where we are? Yeah, now, while Qantas hasn't specified where passengers will land, the airline is giving a few hints. Those taking off from Brisbane can expect to enjoy country hospitality along with food and wine, while those leaving from Melbourne will likely be doing some hiking or browsing through local farmers markets. Passengers leaving from Sydney, on the other hand, will be enjoying long lunching on the beach at a tropical destination. Tickets start, and this is cheap, $577 for economy. But each includes the cost of activities planned for the mysterious excursions. Ah, man, I want to do this. I'm excited by this. If you're in Australia listening to this, take advantage of that. Seriously, you deserve it. You totally deserve it. Go for it. Let's head over to California, where a mother says the Catholic school that her children attended has expelled her 3 kids. Why? Parents complained about her OnlyFans account. Yes, the California mother of 3 said administrators expelled her 3 sons from their Catholic school after discovering her OnlyFans account. Yeah, Tiffany Poindexter, or Mrs. Poindexter in the platform, growing success on the adult subscription-based platform OnlyFans, drew flack from parents at Sacred Heart Parish School in Sacramento. Now, a group of parents allegedly proposed a plot to have her 3 kids dismissed from the school after finding Poindexter's account last summer. The California mom said that parents from the school printed and mailed pictures from her OnlyFans to her children's kindergarten principal. They were often named several names like disturbing, gross, and terrifying, and officials should expel her children from school. Though she clarified the reason why she created the account on the adult social media site to rekindle her and her husband's relationship as they were going through a challenging period, she makes more than $150,000 a month selling links to naughty pictures and videos taken by her husband, Chris. The Jacksons said that they wrote a letter to the school superintendent. She explained the situation and offered to show the superintendent the OnlyFans page to prove Crystal's OnlyFans post was not pornographic at all. However, Sacred Heart's principal, Teresa Sparks, sent an email this past weekend informing the mother that her children would not be able to return to the school anymore. Your apparent quest for high-profile controversy in support of your adult website is a great conflict with what we hope to impart to our students and is directly opposed to the policies laid out in our parent-student handbook, Sparks' email said. We therefore require that you find another school for your children and have no further association with ours. Boy, that's a kind principle, isn't it? According to the mother, her sons are upset about the school's decision. Still, she doesn't go into detail about that situation other than to say that mom is a big internet model. The school is also tweaking some rules on its handbook. It will add a section that says any parent involved in a site or blog that goes against the church and school philosophy must be removed. Meanwhile, Sacred Heart Parish School also declined to share any specifics about the case. There's a new 1-pound burger at Burger King. My mouth is frothing. How about yours? And fast food fans are absolutely losing it. I would too if there was a Burger King in town. Over the last few months, Burger King locations around the world have stunned customers with some pretty extreme new offerings. The chain launched a chocolate Whopper in Taiwan, debuted a fake burger in Japan, and a giveaway free potatoes in France. Now a new item has hit social media. It's making people go gaga to the crown of all burgers. It's called the Meat Wall, and apparently it's very spicy. Oh my gosh. 499 grams, aka 1-pound beef burger, strong magma. If this thing is a spicy burger, I want this. This picture better be real. You are not allowed to tease about this burger right now. The saliva is building up in my mouth. I got to change this. I can't look at that burger. I can't. It's making my mouth water. The sandwich, only available at Burger King Japan, of course, has been formally dubbed the Strong Magma Super 1-Pound Beef Burger. Features 4 patties, 2 slices of cheese, a mysterious spicy powder made of Japanese peppers. Oh my God. Customers who finish the burger will earn a celebratory sticker. I want that sticker. Meanwhile, it costs, an item itself, it costs $13. Well worth it if I see it. Social media users around the world had plenty to say about the Burger King 1-pounder, some calling it the item insane or a monstrosity. If they took off half the patties, I would totally try it, said one Twitter user. Yes, she's trying to cancel this burger already. As is, my stomach would kill me if I ate that much. No, your stomach would, your body would thank you forever. Forever. Eat the burger. The online reactions are nothing new. Fast food chains have been sparking all kinds of drama with their latest menu additions. In addition to Burger King, McDonald's also made waves with a Spam burger, while Pizza Hut raised its eyebrows with its nothing but stuffed crust pizza. Oh, I want that burger. I want that burger. Oh, man. I'm not saying these men shouldn't be held accountable for what they've done. I'm trying to show that they can be more than the sum of their mistakes. That's a quote out of California's San Quentin State Prison. Why? Because in their gift shop now, Nicola White, founder of an independent and unaffiliated program, Art Reach, reaching out with art and poetry from death row, has prisoners painting art. And they're selling it. The whole COVID-19 situation has stopped supplies, though. They've stopped all the programs, unfortunately, for the inmates. Haven't had visits for now almost a year. White's initiative began in 2016 as an alternative to the hobby shop and is able to serve as a digital gallery for the artworks of some of the 40 men on death row, ranging from jewelry and paintings to sketches and poetry. Artreach began in 2016 on not so much of a whim but a gut instinct. 4 years prior to founding the program, White, who is based in the UK, and a talented artist and mudlarker, befriended a San Quentin death row inmate through a pen pal initiative within an organization called Lifelines. After about 4 years, we had a great letter-writing friendship. She says, nowadays we just don't have that at all, do we? We don't write letters to each other. Eventually, she arranged a visit to San Quentin. I spent about 5 hours with him there, she said, just chatting about everything, including artwork he would send me. She learned that he was one of many artists on death row who would trade their own creations and savoir-faire within the prison. I thought it was just amazing and spontaneously asked if any of the artists would like to do an exhibition. Unlike the hobby program, which also has not received supplies, White's own initiative grants the inmates and their families a larger percentage of the earnings from their sales than the hobby program, which has a much lower rate, granted that more crafting and commissary money. You know, you wouldn't find me in the gift shop anyway, said death row inmate, writer, and cartoonist William Clark, as he says he prefers working with White. She's a wonderful, positive person. The art is also seen and bought by more people as well. Clark has been on death row for years, some of which has been spent in solitary confinement. I've been there since the year you were born. He works out as we chat by the phone. He said, yeah, that's when I went in for a crime I had nothing to do with. They're all innocent, aren't they? But either way, good that he's making some art and making some money. A Long Island gravedigger sadly ended up digging in his own grave after a freak fatal accident. 42-year-old Rodwin Allicock of Coram died when a 7-foot deep empty grave collapsed in on him while he was working inside it, according to Suffolk County Police. Authorities say Allicock was working around 8:30 in the morning at the Washington Memorial Park Cemetery in Mount Sinai on Long Island when the accident occurred. As the dirt filled the grave, his fellow employees tried but were unsuccessful in digging him out. Among those responding to the scene were Police Emergency Service Section, Fire Rescue, and Department of Public Works, all from Suffolk County, all along with 4 other local fire departments, but none were able to save him. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Allicock's death is being investigated. You know, here's the funny part. The homicide squad is looking into this. He dug his own grave. This wasn't a gang hit. He dug his own grave. Yeah, I don't get it. Finally, this time the explosion came after the landing. Elon Musk's SpaceX successfully landed a prototype of its Starship rocket after flying to an altitude of just over 6 miles. I love this program. Love watching it. It's a key milestone in the test campaign of the spacecraft. It hopes to one day fly astronauts to the moon and Mars. But 8 minutes after the landing, the spacecraft exploded on the pad, spewing debris across SpaceX's launch site in South Texas. No one was on the rocket, and there were no reports of injuries. In previous attempts, the rocket landed hard and exploded, but this version, known as serial number 10, or SN10, seemed to go successfully from start to finish. It lifted off at 6:14 p.m. Eastern from the launch site, coasted to its top altitude, then fell back to Earth horizontally as its fins provided stability. The spacecraft then righted itself, refired its 3 engines, and touched down softly in a cloud of smoke. Third time's a charm, as the saying goes, said John Insprucker, SpaceX's principal integration engineer. A beautiful soft landing on the pad, but the rocket was still emitting streams of smoke and visibly leaning, and 8 minutes and about 20 seconds after landing, well, boom goes the dynamite, and the rocket blew up because of a fuel leak, sending the vehicle shooting into the air for a second time. The second landing, though, was not as smooth. But this is why they do tests before they put people on board. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. How do you react to people calling your personal paranormal UFO cryptid experiences fake? John, depends. They don't have to always believe me, but if they can't be civil, I quit sharing with them. Captain Canada, first I say, shut up, Dave. I'm trying to be serious. For you, boy, I haven't had any, but if I did, I'd probably respect that position if the individual cites a reasonable criteria as to why and can identify me having a sincere motive. Eric, same way I do to everyone else. I call them out for being agency assets. Anna, don't care. What difference does their opinion make to me? My experiences weren't for them. They were for me. Mickle, by only telling a select few. Other than that, I don't tell anyone. Only my awesome big sister. Oh, and of course, all you weirdos on UFO Twitter. The phenomenomia, or whatever. What is that? I don't. Either way, some UFO guy. If people don't believe my experiences or experiences of family members of mine that I have shared, I respect it. If I don't provide evidence or data, they have no reason to believe me. Uriah, why are eyewitness accounts of paranormal to be believed 100% when eyewitness accounts of crimes are torn down to the last speck of dust? Everyone in the paranormal genre seems stuck in their comfort zone. Mick, not at all. Just be mindful and live a worthwhile existence. Quinoa, that's a throat punching in my book. And Chris, if it's a certain dweeb with a radio station that he doesn't like, screw him. Continue to figure it out as best you can with your experience. In other words, keep on moving. Let's move on to Facebook over here. And Richard says, I'm not a salesperson. I just present what I find. And in the immortal words of Ripley, believe it or not. Gabe, pisses me off. Steve, a skeptic is just someone who hasn't experienced an encounter yet. Scott, usually I deal with it with a shotgun. Oh, that's not nice. Scarlett, I don't need anyone to believe me. I just need them to believe. Kimberly, ignore them. I don't care. I know what I experienced was real. Steve, they weren't there. They didn't have it happen to them, so I don't care what they think. It's not going to stop it from being true. Margaret, I say, well, there was a Holy Ghost in the Bible, and Lazarus rose from the dead. My mom was a preacher. I had to go through this. Kate, don't tell anyone. Patrice, their bad behavior doesn't change what I saw and what happened to me, but my relationship with them is ended. Kate, I don't care what they think. I know what I've seen and experienced. Russell, final word, ignore their ignorance. Thank you to everybody taking part in the Thought of the Dave. Really do appreciate you taking the time on Facebook and Twitter. We will do it all again tomorrow. Thank you to Captain Shirk for an amazing news wire as she rocked us out as each and every night that she does. And Captain, if you're listening, your glasses are on your head. Captain Shirk has a issue with losing her glasses. And we thank Jill Shelley for telling us all about the paranormal and the Boyd House. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But tomorrow, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.